Imagine, you're 13 years old. You set out on an adventure with your friends, but suddenly a storm hits. No map, no food, no water. Your boat breaks apart, and you're stranded on an island where no one lives. No way to get help, no hope. And then years pass, not one or two, a full 13 years. No school, no parents, just 6 teenagers, a deserted island, and a stubborn will to survive. Now think, if you were in that place, could you have survived? Today's story is true, but it feels more cinematic than any movie. This is a story where the heroes are neither superheroes nor soldiers, but a few kids who ran away from school and with their own hands crafted a new face of humanity in the jungle. Welcome to The Real Lord of the Flies, but with Brotherhood, not brutality. The year was 1965, and the place was Tonga, a tiny country in the South Pacific Ocean. 6 students from a boarding school there, aged between 13 and 16, fed up with strict studies and punishments, ran away. Their dream was a real adventure, to see the world on their own. Without any planning, they stole an old boat and set off into the sea, without a map, without a compass, and without any arrangements for food or water. At first, they were all having fun, but a few hours later, the sky suddenly turned dark. The ocean grew deeper in color, and a storm wreaked such havoc that the boat broke into pieces. For 8 days, they drifted in the open sea, hungry and thirsty. And then, somehow, their broken boat crashed into a desolate, deserted island named Ata. No people, no buildings, just rocks, dense jungle, and a strange, eerie silence. This island was completely barren, as if nature had never meant for humans to set foot there. And now these 6 boys, with no experience, no resources, were stuck there, alone, helpless. And the scariest part, they didn't know if anyone would ever come looking for them or not. When these 6 boys realized that no rescue team was coming, their fear slowly turned into responsibility. They cried, they stumbled, but then they stood up and decided, if we want to survive, we have to fight for it ourselves. First, they surveyed the entire island. Where could they find fresh water? Was there anything edible? And then they created a system, a small society. Each day had a duty. Someone went fishing, someone chopped wood, someone cooked food, someone kept the fire burning. They turned a cave into a school, where every evening they taught each other to keep hope alive. They learned to store water in coconut shells, made beds from leaves, and dug pits to collect rainwater. Once, one of the boys fell from a cliff and broke his leg. The others came together to make him a bandage, fed him, and took care of him for weeks, without any medical help. Imagine, 13 to 16-year-old kids, who barely knew how to use a phone, had now built a new world in the jungle, without any help from adults, without a government, without laws, just with mutual trust and hard work. And the most incredible thing, they never even had a single fight among themselves. As days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, the boys' bond grew stronger. But as food became scarce and the weather's wrath intensified, sparks of conflict began to arise. One time, a boy was caught stealing a coconut, and that's when, for the first time, a sense of us versus them emerged among the kids. In anger, some said, kick him out of the group. Others argued, no, talk to him, don't punish him. And then, slowly, the group split into 2. Now the island had 2 sides. One with rule followers, and the other with those wanting a bit of freedom. A hidden competition for food, water, and wood began between the 2 groups. And then one day, after a massive storm, a boy got injured. His leg was badly cut, and the bleeding wouldn't stop. He was from the other group, and this was the moment when humanity faced its true test. The group that had been called the enemy. Those very people rushed over, lifted him, bandaged his wound, and gave him food. And just like that, the ice began to melt. Forgetting their enmity, the 2 groups became one again. They realized, if we stay divided, we'll die, but if we stay together, we might just survive. And that realization became their strength for the next 13 years. Time passed. 1 year, 2 years, 3, and then a full 13 years. Those kids who once ran away from school dreaming of an adventure had written a new definition of life on that desolate island. They were no longer kids. They had become living legends. On that island, a mini-civilization had now taken shape, with their own rules, a system run by mutual understanding, and a bond so strong that the outside world could probably never comprehend it. But deep down, one question lingered in everyone's heart. Will anyone ever find us? And then, one day, a stir appeared far out in the sea. A small fishing boat, wandering in their direction. Seeing the smoke rising from the island, the boat stopped. And when the fishermen reached the shore, what they saw left them in disbelief. There are people alive here, and for all these years, the boys guided them, showing their handmade shelters, farming methods, and water storage systems. The fishermen were stunned to see that these people weren't just surviving, but had carved out a new face of humanity in the jungle. And when they were finally brought back, the world was left speechless by their courage. Some journalists called it the real Lord of the Flies, except the difference was, there was no violence here, only brotherhood. This entire story makes one thing crystal clear. A person doesn't lose until they choose to give up. Those 6 boys, who had no experience, no resources, no guide, didn't just survive for 13 years on a deserted island. They built a living society there. Have you ever thought, what do you do when you have no one? These kids became each other's support. They didn't form a government, yet they maintained order. They didn't use technology, yet they figured out a way to store water. They had no books, yet they kept education alive. Illness came, but they found makeshift cures. Relationships broke, but they mended them. And that's the deepest message of this story. Life doesn't run on conveniences alone. It runs on spirit, trust, and the strength to fight together. In today's world, where even small troubles break us, this story holds up a mirror, showing that true strength lies hidden within us. And if you ever feel alone, remember, if 6 teenagers could survive 13 years on a barren island without help, you can face any storm. So friends, that was the true story of those brave kids who survived alone on a deserted island for 13 years. Their courage, unity, and spirit are a shining example of humanity's most beautiful form. Now, a question for you. If you were on that island, could you have survived? Let us know in the comments below. If you liked this video, hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more true, heart-touching survival stories. We'll meet again in the next episode with another true, yet unbelievable story. Until then, stay connected and stay alive.